Thanks, Peter. I did that for the recording. So, welcome everybody. This slide really shows how interesting my marketing department is. So you can take this for whatever you want, but the actual presentation here, we're going to be talking about securing cyber insurance, what you need to do, what's happening in the marketplace. I'm Brian Chavis. I'm a Chief IT Strategist for CIS. So in terms of an agenda, I'm going to mention CIS, obviously, and then I'm going to do this short presentation, should be about 30 minutes, and then entertain any questions from the audience. If you have even more specific questions on your situation, feel free to hang around. So I'll be here until everybody leaves. Sound good? Okay, so our cybersecurity competencies, we're really proud of these. The first one is that we're MSP Overwatch certified. This is very, very difficult to get, which means that we practice what we preach. So, and we have to recertify on a regular basis that we have all the security controls in place and that we know how to implement them for our customers. We're a cybersecurity awareness champion with the National Cybersecurity Awareness Alliance. And also we're a vetted tech stack technology provider as a top rated MSP. So enough about the commercial. I just want to let you know our motivation. You know, we have the belief that cybersecurity is a duty for all businesses. You know, we must protect our business, the businesses we deal with, our employees. Business continuity is the #1 goal for the economic well-being of our companies. And we must protect ourselves, especially in light of international events. I think you've all seen it on the news on a regular basis that this cyber thing is going to go nowhere but be more intense with all the foreign actors. So first, I want to kind of bring you up to date on the current stats and cyber crimes. You know, I get these mostly from, or I think I got them all from Fortune. So I figured they're pretty credible because you see a lot of numbers all over the place. But I want to go through these briefly. 95% of data breaches are due to human error. We all know that human error, random clicks, doing dumb stuff on the internet is a problem, but you know, I didn't realize it was 95%. 60% of cyber attacks now are ransomware, and those are the attacks that where they lock up your data and you have to pay Bitcoin for the key. So that's real money. 43% of all data breaches involve small and medium businesses. A lot of small and medium business owners I know think that, oh no, I don't have anything anybody would want. Well, they want you money. So 83% of small businesses are not financially prepared to recover from a cyber attack. Unbelievable statistic. 43% don't have any cybersecurity plan in place. You know, if you're a financial company or a bank or, you know, certain industries, you have to do that, but most people don't, obviously. So 91% of businesses haven't purchased cybersecurity insurance. You know, it's not expensive. It's getting more expensive. I'll explain that, but, you know, I think you're crazy not to have it. And first of all, I want to say that we do not sell insurance. So I'm not trying to sell anybody cyber insurance. 66% have experienced a cyber attack in the last 12 months. That's unbelievable. I don't know how they came up with that, but that's, you know, 2 out of 3 companies. So take that for what it is. Even if it was half, that would be bad. So the 4 top methods of cybercrime. So, okay, how are they getting to people? How do they get in? So these aren't in any particular order, though I put them in order myself. So, but the first one's phishing. Everybody knows what that is, where you get a bad link or somebody sends you to a website or you get an email that looks authentic and it's not. You know, a particular type of this is spear phishing. And that's where they, and we've had an incident just recently where one of our clients had, the controller had an email, looked like it came from one of their client or one of their customers, asking them to change the bank account for electronic transfers to a different number. And the person did it. It looked legit, and it took like 3 months for them to figure out they weren't getting paid. And I think the total was in up over $100,000. So it's real stuff. Google has registered 2 million phishing sites. I don't know what they're doing. You know, who knows what Google does, but that's a big number. So second thing are trick links. We all know what those are. And that's where the link you're clicking on isn't the actual link you think it is. Third, stolen passwords. You know, this has gotten a lot of attention lately. Everyone knows about the dark web, I hope. And so there are a lot of people who are using, I don't know, their Amazon password for the corporate password or Facebook password for, and a lot of those can get stolen. And then they have, you know, access to more than just your Facebook account. So the last one on here, I was surprised about this, and I think it was like in a 28% or something, is lost or stolen devices. I thought we were beyond that, but obviously we're not. So that's one that's sort of old-fashioned, but it's something to keep an eye on. So here are the trends we're seeing in cyber insurance, and I work closely with insurance vendors. And so anyway, the rising costs, 70 to 100% premium increases. So what we're seeing is that a company, you know, they may be spending, you know, they were spending $1,000, $1,200 for $1 million in coverage, and that's gone up over $2,000 now. So we're seeing rapid increases. We see separate policies for ransomware rather than just a writer. So the insurance companies are really concerned about ransomware. Increased instances of reduced or dropped coverage. I had a call yesterday from a government contractor firm that was absolutely shocked that their coverage was dropped. So that's starting to happen. And a lot of these insurance companies are reducing their exposure and eliminating companies that don't seem to be doing it, you know, all the controls that they want to be done. So much more stringent requirements for IT security measures. I'm going to dig into that deeper. We're seeing a denial of claims. Right now, if you don't, let's say that you put on your application that you do cybersecurity awareness training or phishing training, and you get a claim, you get hit. Well, you've got to prove that you actually did those things. And if you don't, they could deny your claim. And hands-on verification of company security measures. You know, the insurance companies used to just take your forms and assume that you were doing what you're supposed to do. But we're seeing instances now where the insurance company actually sends in technical experts to verify that you're doing what you're saying you're doing. So these are the top, we call them controls. And these are the things that the insurance companies want in place before you get insured. So some of the companies, insurance companies out there, do 4 or 5 of these, but we're starting to see insurance companies that do all of these and more. So the first one is multi-factor authentication. Everybody by now, I hope they know what that means, but it's like when you change your Google password, you get an email that you need to click on to verify that you are who you're supposed to be. So we call that 2-factor authentication or multi-factor. So you should have that in place on all of your systems, especially Office 365 and Salesforce and all those kinds of things. They want you using a VPN. We believe that a VPN is better served with both of these things in place. And with all the remote workers, we think that's really, really important. And obviously the insurance companies do too. So endpoint detection and response, and sorry for the acronyms here, we call that EDR, and that's really antivirus 2.0. So antivirus basically protected a machine. EDR protects the entire network. So, you know, if a machine gets a problem, then all the other machines can turn their backs on it and also alert a third party, which is sitting in a security operations center, and they can start dealing with a problem immediately. So this is really, really important that you know that you're not really protected anymore by just antivirus, that you need to move up the stack. Incident response planning, you know, that seems like a no-brainer, but as we said in the statistics, half of small businesses don't even have that. Forced patching and updates. All of the vulnerabilities in Chrome have been all over the news, that at least the news I get. And so, you know, you've got to force your people to update all of their software, to do that on a regular basis. And obviously you can't leave it up to them. So you've got to do it behind the scenes. Zero trust is a fancy term for, you know, all people should only have access to the information that they absolutely need for their job. And also, this comes into play a lot of times too on the IT staffs. Too many IT people have way more privileges than they actually need. So, you know, I'll just say Edward Snowden on that one. So you need to worry about who sees what, who has access to what, and should they have that access. Point in time backups is really, really important. If you're down, how long are you going to be down? How long can you be down and survive? You know, if you're an e-commerce company, you probably can't be down, but, you know, minutes or hours. Other companies can be down longer, you know, so you need to know how much time that you have before you're really starting to suffer. And then your backup plan needs to match that. Email hygiene, I just use that as a regular term for, you know, having the spam filters and all of the things in place for phishing, so that people aren't bombarded with emails that are dangerous. Employee education, this one is really big. It's on every form that we see, is that you need to do cyber awareness training for your people and document that they actually went through it. And that's pretty easy to do. There are a lot of sites out there where you put in all the email addresses of your people, and then it tracks how much time they're spending on the education and whether or not they complete it. So it's pretty easy. Oops. Hang on. I'm going to show you real quick here and see if I don't use Zoom a lot, I use Teams, but what I'm going to do is stop this share and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about in real life. So let me share. You can tell how good I should be better at this. Okay. So now, this is an actual, I'll go to this one first. So this is the application from Corvus, which is an international supplier of insurance. So this is the regular cyber insurance application. If you can see it, I hope it's big enough. I'll make it a little bigger. So, so they ask you all this information, and if you know it, I know you can't probably read this, you want to go through it, but these are a lot of questions that you need to answer, right? Like, what are you doing exactly? These forms are getting more and more and more complex. And if you want to see this form or you want to have it, just let me know. I'll email it to you. And so, you know, and they actually make you sign it. And then you're holding to the truth if you have an attack. So in addition to that, they also have ransomware all on its own. So you go through here and look, these are all things. They want to know where you are, what you're using in the cloud, what your team looks like, you know, multi-factor authentication. We talked about that. There's the question. Do you have spam and phishing protection? URL sandboxing, I didn't talk about that, but that's where you make sure that people can't go to, you know, sites in China. So these are detailed. They ask about your data backup and recovery. So you can see that these companies are getting down into the depths of what you're doing. So this is pretty complex, and to get insurance against ransomware, at least with Corvus, you would have to do that. So hey, PETA, can you see my screen?
I can see your screen.
All right, thanks. Oh God, I'm glad that's over. So, all right, so I've got some questions for you. What is your disaster recovery process? You know, I'm not going to ask you directly, but you need to be thinking about that. And it's a trick question. If you don't have the answer, you need to find out. So your time to recovery must match your business risk goals. We talked about that. And this is the biggest reason that businesses fail after an attack. But all the controls that I discussed are defensive. You know, you're putting up your barriers against these people, right? But you know how that works. Anybody can break into your bank, you know, to your house. People break into banks, at least on TV. So no matter what you do to provide security, you could get breached. So that's all defensive. But a proven backup and recovery plan is proactive. It doesn't matter what they do, whether they lock your data, no matter how much money they ask for. You know, if you can get back to where you were in a time frame that makes sense for your business, you know, you're covered 99%. And the reason I say 99% is because I want to talk about destruction versus data breach. So cyber attacks, they destroy your data and you have to pay them to get it back, right? So we know what that's all about. But there's also data breach, and these insurance companies are really worried about this. And we've heard about Target and all the different companies that had personal data breached. So that's different. All the backups in the world don't help you when someone steals your information. So be aware that, you know, there are kind of two things to think about. One is all of your stuff, making sure that, you know, your business is up and running. And the second thing is to make sure that people haven't sold data, you know, especially personal information. Second question, what do you do if you have an event? Once again, it's a trick question. If you don't have the answer to your cyber event plan, you need to find out. So one benefit to cyber insurance that a lot of people don't think about is that you have a claims support team, and you know, an 800 number 24/7, then they can help you develop your event plan. And they have all kinds of resources and they're there for you. So you're not just buying insurance, you're buying a bunch of experts who can help you from getting breached in the first place. So another thing to realize is that the claims process involves your company, the insurance company, and your legal team. So notice I didn't say the IT people. So even though they'll play a support role, obviously, but they're not in the mix of you getting your money for a breach. So notice I said legal team, and for most companies, that's probably outside legal team. So you need to be sure that your lawyer, or that you have a lawyer that knows something about this and that they're engaged with you already. The last thing you want to do is go looking for a lawyer, you know, after the fact. So it's important to have your legal team in place. Notify your insurance company immediately. They all say this, it makes sense, and understand the time frame of your coverage post-event. Now think about that one. So, you know, I've been involved where people, a company was paid when they lost their data to have temps come in and re-enter the information into the computer, right? And so that lasted for about 30 days. And then on day 31, the insurance company quit paying for it. So it's really important to understand how much time your coverage is actually going to last. All right, so I'm on time. So here are our takeaways. You'll see this everywhere, but it's not if, but when you have a breach or a ransomware event. All right, so think through the impact on your business, your partners, and your employees. And you know, it's funny how many companies don't have a an honest meeting about this. It's like, okay, what's valuable? How bad would we be hurt? And doesn't it make sense to get everybody together on that? So get the controls in place before you apply or renew, especially, the renewal. You'll come up on your renewal date and they'll come back with twice as many forms for you to fill out, and you're unprepared for that. So you could have a gap in coverage. Trust but verify your protection using outside independent resources. Of course, we're one of those resources, but use somebody outside your company, just as you would an auditing company on your accounting team. It's like, make sure that everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. And the only way that you really truly find out is if you have somebody from the outside who's unbiased come in and verify. Budget for increased expenses. These controls that I went through, that means adding tools in your network. And most of those tools are, monthly per unit pricing. So it might be for EDR, as I said, that you're going to add $10 per person on all the machines per month forever. So, and also, you need outside advice, somebody watching these things. So, it's going to cost more. Security is expensive. Plan to mitigate surprise increases in cyber insurance costs. So if you're doing a budget this year, when you do your budget next year, you need to add to that cost. And like I said, $1 million is probably a couple grand a month now, so, or a year now. So, it's not too significant, but the prices are going up. And, I really recommend standing up a cyber task force in your company. And this needs to be people who aren't just in IT. Personnel people are really good in that, because they're the ones that are going to force the training for the people. They're the people who onboard new employees and make sure that they understand completely what their obligations are around cybersecurity. So it should have a management person in there. Somebody has control of a budget. So I really highly recommend standing up a committee in your company. All right, that's going to do it. I do have, time for questions, if anybody has them or comments.
Yeah, we did have one question that came in over the chat, Brian. How has the ongoing conflict in the Ukraine impacted the volume or type of cyber attacks?
They don't. First of all, I can say that all the cyber attacks that we see are coming from countries that are our enemies, so to speak. So that's one thing. And the second thing is that we have seen an increase in cyber attacks in the last 3 months. And not only us, but, there are a lot of articles written out there on that. So I would assume that, that it's starting to happen. And a lot of times, we'll be attacked and we really don't do the forensics to really understand who it was. It's like a car accident, may not try to figure out who is at fault. You're just worried about getting, the victims to the hospital. Same with this. It's like, we spend all of our time getting the company back up and running. And a lot of times you're not able to figure out, exactly who did the attack. And they're very good at not letting you know who's doing the attack. Any other questions, Peter? You can type them in.
Yes, we did have another one coming on the chat. Are there resources for free training about phishing that employees can take? You mentioned ones where you put their emails in and can track the usage.
Yeah, can you, you have the person so I can send them something? Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll send that out because I don't have it with me right now. I know that my IT guys have a couple recommendations, and they're either no cost or low cost. So I'll get that out to you. Anyone else wants to know that, just tell Peter in the chat.
Yep. And a question about the recording. Yep, there is a recording and we'll make that available here after the event, Keith.
So yeah, we'll do one-on-one security planning sessions. and a very high level gap analysis. And we'll go through all these controls and more and show you, you know, what you have, what you're kind of have, and what you don't have, and give you a nice presentation that you can give to your whoever holds the money, so that you can show them, you know, where your gaps are. So get them to sign off on it. Even if they don't do it, at least, you know, you tried. And if you have an event, you're covered, right?
Is this one-on-one free?
Yes. Yeah, again, you know, we want to do everything to protect American businesses, you know, and so, yeah, you can bring your IT people, we'll work with them, but the initial session lasts from 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how complex you are, and we're happy to do that for free. Anyone else?
No, I think that was the last question that came in over the chat.
So if anybody has comments on you know, improving this particular presentation on cyber insurance, or any other comments, please, you know, take the time, put them in the chat, or you can email me directly. I love to have the feedback. It's so weird doing these things remotely. You know, I wish we were all in a room, and those days seem to be over. So anyway, my email is here, Brian, or bchavis@customis.com. And again, I'm not a salesperson. I'm an IT strategist. I've been in IT for more years than I'm going to tell you. And so, you know, we're not here to sell things. We're here to protect. Or I'm not a salesperson. So my CEO probably disagrees with that, but.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Brian. Thank you for everyone who joined today. Just again, we will be getting the recording out after the event, so look out for that. And Brian will be reaching out just to answer any questions. We captured who asked those questions, and he'll be getting back to you. So thanks again for joining us today. And, you know, we do these on a regular, so look out for the next event that we're going to be hosting. And thank you, Brian.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, we're traded up. We may do the next sessions are going to be, you know, slightly different topics probably. So we're not going to get into a rut here. So thanks again, everybody, for coming. And thank you, Peter.
All right, no problem.